When does the allure of fleeting adoration eclipse the steady beacon of self-awareness? How easily can the whispers of praise, however hollow, coax a being from its inherent nature, luring it towards an inevitable, self-inflicted demise? Consider the precarious balance between a thing's true essence and the shimmering reflection presented by a master manipulator. Is not the deepest trap often laid not with chains, but with the silken threads of flattery, appealing to the most fragile aspects of our ego? What price does one pay for believing the mirrored lie, particularly when the mirror itself is held by a hand poised to extinguish? This is the eternal question, etched into the very fabric of existence, a cautionary tale whispered through the winds of time. High in the sun-baked canyon, where ancient winds carved tales into sandstone, lived an ember. Not a grand bonfire, but a single, persistent spark, a glowing heart that nurtured a fragile warmth in the cool desert nights. It was born of an ancient lightning strike, a fragment of raw, unbridled heat, content with its slow burn, radiating a gentle, life-giving aura. Around it, for generations, huddled small, withered desert plants, drawing comfort from its steady pulse, and offering the ember a quiet reverence for its enduring presence. This was its world, simple, meaningful, sustained by its own contained energy. The ember possessed a quiet humility, understanding its place in the vast, indifferent landscape. Down in the shadowed crevice, a creature of stark contrast resided, a dewdrop. Not a benevolent giver of life, but a solitary globule of condensation, born of the canyon's damp breath. This dewdrop, however, was not content with its ephemeral nature. It observed the ember's serene influence, the way the tiny desert life sought its warmth. A cold envy, a subtle cunning, began to crystallize within its spherical form. The dewdrop, with its reflective surface, learned to mimic the sun's brilliance, to refract light in dazzling, deceptive ways. It began to roll closer, its surface rippling with fabricated beauty, capturing and amplifying the fleeting desert light. Oh, glorious ember, the dewdrop would shimmer, its voice a liquid murmur that seemed to caress the very air. How your light outshines even the noonday sun. The great canyon itself holds its breath when your brilliance graces the earth. See how even the starlight pales in your presence. The ember, accustomed only to the honest warmth of the night and the humble gratitude of the plants, felt an unfamiliar stir. No one had ever spoken to it with such dazzling adoration. The words, like cool, sweet water, seemed to quench a thirst it hadn't known it possessed. The dewdrop continued its seductive flattery, praising the ember's perceived magnificence, its unparalleled glow, its destined role to illuminate the entire desert. It painted visions of the ember not just warming, but blazing, a beacon visible for leagues, worshipped by every living thing. You are meant for more than these paltry few shrubs, the dewdrop would insist, reflecting the ember's own light back at it, distorted into a magnificent, exaggerated brilliance. You are a sun, a star, a god of fire. But your light, trapped here, is diminished. To truly reach your potential, to truly fulfill your destiny, you must expand, you must embrace the very air, become the inferno you truly are. The ember, its inherent humility slowly eroded by the constant, intoxicating praise, began to believe the dewdrop's shimmering lies. The steady, contained warmth it had always known now seemed insufficient, paltry. It yearned for the grandeur the dewdrop promised, the boundless, worshipped brilliance. A seed of ambition, alien to its nature, took root. One scorching afternoon, the dewdrop, with a final, enticing shimmer, presented its ultimate temptation. To reach your true apotheosis, it whispered, reflecting the ember's own magnified glow, you must only cast aside the constraints of your humble form. Embrace the swift, thirsty breeze, let it fan your spirit. Let go of the ground that binds you, and become pure, soaring flame. The ember, blinded by the mirrored glory, convinced of its own unmatched power, allowed itself to be seduced. It stretched, it pulsed, it yearned. It broke free from the protective dust that had cradled it for so long, and sought to embrace the passing desert gust. And in that fatal moment, as it detached from its secure, humble place, the dewdrop, with a final, chilling, cunning smirk of reflected light, rolled forward. In an instant, the single, vulnerable ember, stripped of its protective earth and fanned by the very air it sought to command, was met by the dewdrop's cool, enveloping form. A hiss. A wisp of smoke. And then, utter darkness. The dewdrop, having extinguished the object of its envy, evaporated into the harsh air, leaving behind only the cold, silent sand and the memory of a light that died yearning for a glory that was never truly its own. This tale of the ember and the dewdrop speaks to the insidious nature of flattery and the perilous journey of vanity. Like the ember, many of us, when lauded beyond our true measure, begin to mistake the echo of praise for genuine accomplishment. The dewdrop embodies the cunning manipulator, expertly identifying and exploiting the yearning for recognition, the desire to be more than one is. In a world saturated with social validation and curated self-images, it's easy to be lulled into believing the exaggerated reflections people present to us, or worse, the ones we construct for ourselves. This narrative serves as a potent reminder that true strength lies not in the perceived grandeur of our reflected image, but in the steadfast, humble adherence to our inherent nature and capabilities. To chase a manufactured glory often leads to the extinguishment of our authentic light, leaving us vulnerable to those who prey on our inflated self-importance. Thus, the Filiarium whispers its ancient truth: be wary of the voice that elevates you beyond reason, for it often seeks not to honor, but to exploit. A clear vision of self, untainted by the mirror of others' desires, is the true bulwark against the cunning hand. Guard your essence, let not a false reflection lead your light to darkness.